Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Ashtottara Shatashi Srimad Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Ashtottara Shatashi Srimad Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Nama Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Vimsagaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakti Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopi Go Shama Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Mayapur Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Mathura Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Tulasi Devi Ki Jai. Yamuna Mayi Ki Jai. Ganga Mayi Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhakti Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Which text are we on?
316.8.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Srimad Bhagavatam 3.16.8. Na aham tata admi yajamana avihi vidhane shotat grita kutam adan uta bhuk mukena yat brahmanasya mukataha charataha anugasam pushtasya mayi advaitai nija karma pakai. Is the audio okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Naham tadami yajamana havirvitani. Is that right?
Naham tadami yajamana havirvitani.
Shotad grita plutam adan hutabun mukena. Yad brahmanasya mukatascharato nugasam.
Yad brahmanasya mukatascharato nughasam.
Tushtasya may avahiter nija karma pakai.
Tushtasya may avahiter nija karma pakai.
Naham tadami yajamana havirvatani.
Naham tathani yajamana havirvatani.
Shotad grita plutamadan hutabun mukena. Yad brahmanasya mukatascharato nugasam. Tushtasya may avahiter nija karma pakai. Naham tadami yajamana havirvatani. Shotad grita plutamadan hutabun mukena. Yad brahmanasya mukatascharato nugasya.
ब्राह्मणस्य मुखतश्चरतोऽनुघासम्
तुष्टस्य मय अवहतिर्निजकर्म पाकैः
तुष्टस्य मय्यवहितैर्निजकर्मपाकैः नाहं तथास्मि यजमानः विर्विताने
अहं तथात्मि यजमानः विर्विताने
घृतप्लुतं मदन्हुतभुन्मुखेन
शोत्तत्कृताप्लुतमदन्हुतभुन्मुखेन
यद्ब्राह्मणस्य मुखतश्चरतोऽनुघासम्
यद्ब्राह्मणस्य मुखतश्चरतोऽनुघासम्
तुष्टस्य मय्यवहितैर्निजकर्मपाकैः
तुष्टस्य मय्यवहितैर्निजकर्मपाकैः नाहं तथास्मि यजमानः विर्वितानि
नाहं तथास्मि यजमानः विर्वितानि
शोत्तत्कृताप्लुतमदन्हुतभुन्मुखेन
च्वत्तद्घृतं प्लुतमदन्हुतभुन्मुखेन
यद्ब्राह्मणस्य मुखतश्चरतोऽनुघासम्
यद्ब्राह्मणस्य मुखतश्चरतोऽनुघासम्
तुष्टस्य मय्यवहितैर्निजकर्मपाकैः
तुष्टस्य मय्यवहितैर्निजकर्मपाकैः
Okay. Na,
न
not.
not
Aham,
aham
I.
I
Tata,
tha
on the other hand.
on the other hand
Admi,
admi
I eat.
I eat
Yajamana,
yajamana
by the sacrificer.
other sacrifices,
Havihi,
Havihi,
the oblations.
the oblation,
Rutane,
Tane,
in the sacrificial fire.
the sacrificial fire,
Yotat,
Shottat,
pouring.
pouring,
Rita,
Krita,
ghee.
Ji,
Hutam,
Tam,
mixed.
mixed,
Adan,
Adon,
eating.
eating,
Hutabuk,
Tabhuk,
the sacrificial fire.
sacrificial fire,
Mukena,
Mukhena,
by the mouth.
by the mouth,
Yet,
Yat,
as.
as,
Brahmanasya,
Brahmanasya,
of the Brahmana.
of the Brahmana,
Mukata,
Mukhataha,
from the mouth.
from the mouth,
Charataha,
Narataha,
acting.
acting,
Anugasam,
Mukhasam,
morsels.
morsels,
Tustasya,
Pushtasya,
satisfied.
satisfied,
Mai,
by
to me.
me,
Avahitai,
Avahitahi,
offered.
offered,
Nija,
Nija,
own.
Om,
Karma,
Karma,
activities.
activities
Pakai,
pakaihi
by the results.
by the results.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. I do not enjoy the oblations offered by the sacrificers in the sacrificial fire, which is one of my own mouths, with the same relish as I do the delicacies overflowing with ghee, which are offered to the mouths of the Brahmanas, who have dedicated to me the results of their activities, and who are ever satisfied with my prasad. Purport. The devotee of the Lord, or the Vaishnava, does not take anything without offering it to the Lord. Since a Vaishnava dedicates all the results of his activities to the Lord, he does not taste anything eatable which is not first offered to him. The Lord also relishes giving the Vaishnava's mouth all eatables offered to him. It is clear from this verse that the Lord eats through the sacrificial fire and the Brahmana's mouth. So many articles, grains, ghee, etc., are offered in sacrifice for the satisfaction of the Lord. The Lord accepts sacrificial offerings from the Brahmanas and devotees, and elsewhere it is stated that whatever is given for the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas to eat is also accepted by the Lord. What is that? I'm just going to read that sentence again. I didn't quite get it. The Lord accepts sacrificial offerings from the Brahmanas and the devotees. And elsewhere it is stated that whatever is given for the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas to eat is also accepted by the Lord. But here it is said that he accepts offerings to the mouths of Brahmanas and Vaishnavas with even greater relish. The best example of this is found in the life of Advaita Prabhu and his dealings with Haridas Thakur. Even though Haridas was born of a Mohammedan family, Advaita Prabhu offered him the first dish of prasad after the performance of a sacred fire ceremony. Haridas Thakur informed him that he was born of a Mohammedan family and asked why Advaita Prabhu was offering the first dish to a Mohammedan instead of an elevated Brahmana. Out of his humbleness, Haridas condemned himself as a Mohammedan, but Advaita Prabhu, being an experienced devotee, accepted him as a real Brahmana. Advaita Prabhu asserted that by offering the first dish to Haridas Thakur, he was getting the results of feeding 100,000 Brahmanas. The conclusion is that if one can feed a Brahmana or Vaishnava, it is better than performing hundreds of thousands of sacrifices. In this age, therefore, it is recommended that Harer Nama, chanting the holy name of God, and pleasing the Vaishnava are the only means to elevate oneself to spiritual life. Om Gyana Timarandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militamena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadah Mayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utav Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Prijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha Hey Krishna Kruna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Panchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishna Bhutale Srimate Dhanvirga Swami Namine Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishna Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharani Nirvishesha Srinivadi Prashtacharastani. So that's amazing. The last sentence Srila Prabhupada is saying, in this age, therefore, it is recommended. And after reading the whole verse and purport, we might think he's going to say, chant Hare Krishna and take prasadam, or chanting, dancing, and feasting are the prescribed processes for going back to Godhead, or something like this. But then we see, it is recommended in this day and age that Harer Nama, chanting the holy name of God, and pleasing the Vaishnava are the only means to elevate oneself to spiritual life. So there's that verse, Yasya deve prabhaktir yata deve tata guru tasya te katita hyarta prakashante mahatmanaha. If one has implicit faith in the spiritual master and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then all the imports of the Vedic knowledge are revealed. So one's life is fully successful if they have full faith in Krishna and the spiritual master. So we understand that we can attempt to please the Vaishnava, the spiritual master, the pure devotee of the Lord, and that's very pleasing to Krishna himself. But we might sometimes hear our spiritual masters give that example. Srila Prabhupada also gave that example that if you love me, love my dog. So like that, the pure devotee of the Lord, they want to be the dog of Krishna. Like that, they want to be the humble servant of Krishna. So if we want to be very dear to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in the same way when you meet some people who are on a walk with their dog, if you become very interested in the dog and say, oh, it's a very sweet dog, he's so nice, then the people become very endeared to you, and then they'll listen to you for a minute and then take Srila Prabhupada's books and give you a donation. So that example is sometimes given, that the pure devotee, the Vaishnava, they want to be like the dog of their spiritual master and Krishna. So if we become dear to them, then we can become dear to Krishna. So like that, Krishna is, what is it? Go Brahmana Hitayacha. He's the protector and the well-wisher of the cows and the Brahmanas. So his devotees, the Vaishnavas, they're very dear to him. So we can try to please our spiritual master, but then also, as Chandanacharya Prabhu speaks about very often, we can try to please the devotees, and we can see that in Chandanacharya Prabhu's life also. Sorry for the glorification. But by trying to please devotees, and those who are trying to be devotees, like sometimes Chandanacharya, I'm sorry, Chandanacharya Prabhu will make bread and stuff for, like Abhimanyu Sutta Prabhu and then he'll say that he's trying to please the devotees. So for that reason, I'm saying trying to please those who are trying to be devotees is also very nice. Because, I'm trying to be a devotee, and so Chandan, he, for some reason, he'll see me as a devotee and say I'm trying to please the devotees when he does things like that. Okay, I'm sorry, I'll stop talking about you. He's looking like more and more fried out. See, now I'm not pleasing the Vaishnava, so I can't elevate myself to spiritual life. But, so the point I'm just trying to make is that by trying to please the devotees around us who are practicing Krishna consciousness, that's, Srila Prabhupada says that here at the end, that's the means to elevate oneself to spiritual life. So, and chanting the holy name of the Lord. So we have our prescribed duties that we're given. We've got the vows that we've taken. I will chant Hare Krishna. I will not do these 4 regulative principles. I won't engage in those activities: illicit sex, intoxication, meat eating, and gambling. And so we've got those things to strictly follow there. So the chanting of the holy name of God. But then also, what else? Pleasing the Vaishnava. So those 2 things, we got to follow the strict program we've been given. And then you can just follow the program that Srila Prabhupada gave, and not, of course, also within Srila Prabhupada's program, there's serving the devotees and everything like this. But you could just follow, just the basic thing. Okay, I'll chant Hare Krishna. I'll follow the regulative principles. I'll attend the temple programs, do whatever services and things like this. But then also what has to be there is this mood to please the devotees, or this attitude to try to please the devotees. If you just follow everything without, considering without putting in some real effort to try to figure out, how can I please the devotees, or how is this service that I'm doing connected to pleasing the devotees, and how can I try to do it better for them, then we're missing out on half the process that Srila Prabhupada outlined, at least in the end of this purport here, that both of those things are needed for elevating one in spiritual life. And we see that in that purport where Srila Prabhupada explains that Krishna consciousness it's dependent on the attitude of the follower. Devotional service is dependent on the attitude of the follower. So if we have this attitude of wanting to please Krishna's devotees, then we can be safe. We can be steadily making advancement in spiritual life. And that's what's needed. If one wants to go on practicing Krishna consciousness and ultimately achieve the goal of, pleasing the spiritual master, pleasing Krishna, consistently engaging in the service of Krishna and the devotees, going back home, back to Godhead, if one wants to achieve that goal, then they have to be constantly making advancement in devotional service. I was listening on the BVKS app this morning, and Maharaj was explaining that there was some lectures that he gave here in Atlanta, where he was explaining that in order to avoid, falling down or any sort of drastic mistakes in devotional service and bad situations, one can't just remain stagnant. Not just that, okay, I've got, devotional life is kind of comfortable or happy or whatever, I'm chanting my rounds, I'm happy, whatever it is. They can't just remain stagnant, but it's a pushing movement. So the devotee has to always see that they're making advancement in Krishna consciousness and moving forward in Krishna consciousness. And so that's being pointed out here in this verse, that in order to do that, it's not just the basic duties that were given, chanting the holy name, which is essential, and other duties, but pleasing the devotees is also the means to elevate one in spiritual life. And if we forget that, then we're not gonna we're gonna have a lot of trouble. If we forget that I'm here as the servant of Hari, Guru, and Vaishnavas, then everything becomes a big sham. Um, you can read in the Sri Bhaktisiddhanta Vaibhava, there's whole sections that actually pertain to this purport, because we're hearing how the Lord is happy to accept nice eatables covered in ghee offered to the mouths of the devotees. But that doesn't mean that a devotee or a brahmana should think, okay, so my main service is to eat, and to eat very nicely. And just by people feeding me nicely, Krishna's pleased, so I'll just arrange everything in life so that I can eat nicely and, live comfortably. This is, like squashed very heavily by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and you can see in the history of the Gaudiya Math, as it's presented in the Sri Bhaktisiddhanta Vaibhava, he has so many heavy statements against this, calling devotees who just want to eat and sleep, or be lazy in the name of Krishna consciousness, or they've taken to the renounced order of life, but then they just want to enjoy their senses in a kind of mode of goodness way. Like they're not engaging in illicit sex life, or they're not engaging in what else? Yeah, I don't know. They're not like they don't look like a gross materialist, but they're still trying to enjoy the material world, just in different clothing. Now they've got saffron clothing. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur would chastise devotees for these kind of things really heavily, and he uses this word gormandizing a lot. We shouldn't have any, was it babu brahmacharis? Is that the word?
Oh, yeah, it's like in fact,
Yeah, Babu, he was called Babu Giri.
What was that? Babu Giri?
Yeah, Babu Giri, like a Babu Brahmachari. When he
Babu
would see a
Giri,
brahmachari,
Babu Brahmachari.
oil the head, he would say these are Babu Brahmacharis.
Yeah, living nicely. And the other word was gormandizing, which means, you're like living very opulently just for enjoying the senses. Living to eat instead of, wait, what was it? Living to eat instead of eating to live. All of these things. So, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur would, there's many instances where you can see he's chastising devotee. Like one devotee did a big preaching program and then came back to the temple afterwards and said, "What is it?" Because the standard prasadam was there, maybe like rice dal, sabji, or something like this. So then the devotee was saying, "What is this? There should be, puris and something made for me, something like that. There should be some nice prasadam made for him." And you can read how he was chastised pretty heavily. So, dang, I kind of lost my train of thought. I'm sorry, but we were hearing how Krishna was saying that he accepts the nice eatables that are offered to the mouths of the devotee, but the devotee shouldn't think that, okay, it's my job just to eat nicely. Dang, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. My bad. Let's see. Let me just read the purport for a second. Well, anyways, yeah. So in the Sri Bhaktisiddhanta Vaibhava, we hear how Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur would explain that the temple is not a place for eating and sleeping. And there's all these different instances. I can't remember all the different stories off the top of my head, but he explains that the temple is a place for serving Hari, Guru, and Vaishnavas. And he explains it in many different ways, in many different instances. But that's the whole point, is if we've come to devotional service, if we've come into the society of devotees, into devotee association, then we should always keep in mind that I'm here not as like an enjoyer of the devotee association and an enjoyer of whatever facilities are there, but I'm here as a servant of those devotees. I'm here as a servant of Hari, Guru, and the Vaishnavas. And so a nice way to serve the devotees is by making nice prasad for them, and serving prasadam to the devotees. And so we were hearing that Krishna is pleased when the devotees are offered nice prasadam. And we were hearing how Advaita Acharya, he was offering this first dish of prasad after the performance of a sacred fire ceremony to Haridas Thakur, showing that he is the most qualified person there. And then also hearing about Haridas Thakur's humility. So a nice way to please devotees is by making nice prasadam for them. I remember Ananda Prabhu, when I was first coming to Krishna life, he was telling me, if you want to please the devotees there, you have to distribute a lot of books or make some really fired up prasadam. And I'm not that good when it comes to cooking, so I tried to distribute some books. But this is a nice way to serve the devotees. And then there's so many ways to serve the devotees. Like it's been mentioned in a lot of classes recently. Chandanacharya Prabhu has been saying that when we're with another devotee on TSKP, we can just keep in mind the whole time, okay, how can I, what can I do to please this devotee? How can I act in a way to, facilitate their service, or in a way that they are, happy? So if we're always focused on serving the devotees, that's actually one of the austerities of the mind, is seeing how to serve others rather than thinking selfishly. So if we're doing that, then we can be safe. We can be safely engaged in Krishna's service without the danger of falling down due to being on the bodily platform, and again thinking in so many selfish ways, how am I going to enjoy this body, or how am I going to enjoy my mind, or how am I going to somehow exploit the material world. But if we're always somehow or other trying to serve the devotees of the Lord, then we're protected. Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita, Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam pritipurvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yenamam upayantite. As they engage in my service, as they worship me with love, I give the intelligence by which they can come to me. So if we're engaged in the loving service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead by chanting His holy name, distributing books, pushing on Daivi Varnashram farm communities, all these different services, and then at the same time, we're always meditating on how to please His devotees, serving His devotees with love and devotion, then Krishna will always be providing the intelligence of how we can do that. And then we don't have to worry that, okay, if we're not engaging Krishna service for even a second, then again the material mind is going to kick in. And someone was telling me that recently. This might just be the Chandanacharya Prabhu glorifying class. I think Chandan was telling me this recently, that either you're saying that you immediately want to be thinking of how to engage in serving the devotees, otherwise the mind can start thinking of so many nonsense things. So right when the mind starts thinking of some nonsense, then immediately, oh God, okay, how can I serve the devotees somehow? So in our position in the material world, after so many lifetimes of being here, the mind is conditioned to always be looking how to exploit material nature, how to engage the senses in some nonsense activity that'll just waste time and waste many lifetimes. But if we're engaging in the service of the devotees, then Krishna can give us the intelligence how to perform that service and how to carry on doing that service in a better way that's even more pleasing to them. Whereas if we space out for some time, then the intelligence can immediately become contaminated. Like we were speaking about yesterday, the empty mind is a devil's workshop. So pretty much the only solution to all of the problems of life is to be fully engaged in Krishna's service 24/7. So if we're around devotees, we can serve them somehow. If we're not around them, we can still try to serve them in some other form. But that's pretty much the key to everything, is if we can be engaged in the devotee service 24/7, then we're safe. If we space out or become lax, then there's room for Maya to creep in, and then everything can become very difficult. So let me look at the purport one more time. Srila Prabhupada also mentioned at the end that the conclusion is, if one can feed a Brahmana or Vaishnava, it's better than performing hundreds of thousands of sacrifices. So we can see that by pleasing the devotees of the Lord, that's even more dear to the Lord than all of these elaborate sacrifices that one can do. Like yesterday, we were talking a little bit about Vishwamitra Muni and how he did these crazy austerities for thousands of years, all these different penances and things. And at the same time, we can hear from Srila Prabhupada this quote where he's explaining that if a devotee goes out one day on Sankirtan, it's more than or equal to all those thousands of years of austerities that Vishwamitra Muni did. So by engaging in the
3 days of Kirtan, 60,000 years of his austerity.
60,000 years, you said it's equal to?
3 days, yeah. 3 days. Equal to 3 days of book distribution.
Wow, 3 days of book distribution, equal to 60,000 years of insane austerities that Vishwamitra Muni was doing. So we can see Krishna's more pleased by engaging in the service of his devotees. If we're distributing books, that's serving devotees in so many ways. Of course, it's serving, Srila Prabhupada and the previous acharyas and our spiritual master, but then there's also so many ways that it's serving, just devotees on, you could say, like on a smaller scale or local scale, because it's like the engine department of the temple. It's, it's getting, it's a sacrifice for the Lord. So by pleasing the Lord, then we can, hopefully attract the Lord's mercy. So like that, we're engaging in this sacrifice for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And, more books, more blessings. There's one Prabhupada disciple who was here who had mentioned that during one of the Sankirtan camps, that more books, more blessings. So as more books are going out, then there's more mercy and blessings coming in. So by serving the devotees of the Lord, engaging in these different services for our spiritual master like that, one can actually please Krishna. Those are just a few points. I'm kind of repeating a lot of things. Do the devotees have any comments? Tapas Prabhu? Tapas, please go ahead.
That was such a sorry. Thank you for the wonderful class. And that was an awesome point that you made about like if you don't serve if you don't serve the devotees, then you'll just be in Maya and your mind will be filled, and the idle mind is the devil's workshop. So I think that's a great point. Even if you like come up with so many ways not to serve the devotee, you should force yourself still to like, no, I have to serve this devotee. I have to do it. I have to do it. Otherwise, otherwise I'll be in Maya. So thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you. What's up, Prabhu? Do you have anything?
Eat prasadam, man.
What is it?
I'm ready to take some prasadam.
Oh, okay, Jai.
Now I understand that like the reason you can only eat samosas and ghee is because of this verse.
Because it's pleasing to Krishna if there's more ghee.
Yeah. Who's the host?
Me.
Could you share 331 Bhagavad Gita? No, not 331. Sorry, 311. 311. Devan Bhavayatanena. Okay, perfect. So yeah, whatever. Devan Bhavayatanena, Te Deva Bhavayanti Va, Paraspara Bhavayanta Shreya Paramapsita. Now if you go all the way down, yeah, and then man, I can do that. Okay. Yeah, that's one. Yeah, so see, by performance of yajnas, all activities become purified, as is stated in this verse. As stated in the Vedas, Ahara Shuddho Sattva Shuddhi Sattva Shuddho Dhruvam Sudhi Smriti Lambhe Sarva Granti Nam Vipramoksha. By performance of yajnas, one's eatables become sanctified. By eating sanctified foodstuffs, one's very existence becomes purified. But the purification of existence, finite tissues in the memory become sanctified. And when the memory is sanctified, one can think of the path of liberation. And all these combined together lead to Krishna consciousness, a great necessity of the present day society. So we can say that when prasadam is cooked properly, it's actually an aspect of smaranam, of the remembrance of the Supreme Lord. when you take good when you're honoring the Lord's prasadam with the right mentality, it actually helps you purify the mind. It helps you purify the mind, helps you increase your remembrance of Krishna. So it's a very important aspect. Even in the Niti Shastras it said, that Rupa Goswami Dadati Pratigrahanati. Rupa Goswami quotes that, and it's also there in the Niti Shastras. Same point. That this exchange of prasadam, this taking of prasadam between devotees. Even Gokul Chandra Prabhu was telling Vishnu Chitra Prabhu that we should, as a community, every day have lunch and breakfast together. And I really was very happy when Vishnu Prabhu introduced that in New York, because the tendency is you grab your plate, you go and sit in front of your phone, and you watch your video while you eat. Right? I guess that's just a standard Western way of doing things.
Yeah.
But I every day really look forward to taking prasadam with devotees. It's like it's something which is just so amazing. We can't conceive of it, and it's very pleasing to Krishna. Prabhupada, that's why he said, "Where the kitchen religion." Prabhupada said, we have to feed them prasadam, and so many of us are here because of prasadam. Sometimes when things would get like really fried out, I would be extremely fried. I'd be so frustrated, but then somehow or the other there's some prasadam left, and then you take that prasadam, and then you think, what, life is not so bad after all. Like we were saying yesterday, even Chanakya Pandit, he says, right, a good meal is more satisfying than sex. Right. So why is this the case, especially with us, is because the Lord himself wants to feed the devotees prasadam. It says this in the purport. Prabhupada is saying that even Krishna is anxious to see his devotees take prasadam. But it has to be offered in yajna, right? That's why Krishna says this. Yajna shishta shina shanto muchante sarva kilbishahi bhujante te dagam papa ye pashantyatma karanat. If you eat foodstuffs offered in yajna, then what to speak of getting freed from sinful reactions, especially when some devotee who's in really good consciousness makes prasadam, you can tell the difference actually. And it's basically been what's I suspect that one of the reasons why, like, I'm fixated upon worshipping Radha Govinda is because I grew up eating Mother Satya's prasadam for like 2 years straight, eating the Rajbhog. So it makes such an impact on your life, your consciousness, what you eat. You are what you eat. So anyway, I just want to share a small thing.
That was making me think when you pointed out how in the purport we hear how Krishna is eager to feed the devotees prasadam and see that they honor prasadam, that then the devotees should also feel a little indebted, or some sentiment or something, after hearing that section there, that they should also offer things nicely to Krishna, things that Krishna likes, which are given in Shastra, and then also offer it properly and nicely, not just that the deity in the home is like a microwave and you just throw something, what your cereal or something, whatever it is, you throw something in front of you on the altar and set it to 30 seconds and then come back when it dings and take it down. But yeah, after reading that part of the purport, we can see Krishna is so much eager to, give the devotees nice prasadam, so the devotees can also be eager to nicely offer things to the Lord in a way that's pleasing to him.
Yeah, it's certainly an aspect of separation, the separation from Krishna life prasadam. Increases vipralamba seva. So we can separate.
Yeah, I don't know where the Krishna life prasadam is, because the Krishna life is some of it's in India, some of it's in Atlanta, some of it's in California.
That's where Chandan and Kalki are. That's where Krishna life prasadam is.
Yeah.
No hate for anyone, but these two devotees really love cooking for the devotees. It's like a part of their sadhana, basically. And it's like not just cooking, but also serving. Sometimes Kalki Prabhu would cook for like 8-10 hours, and then he'll come out and serve the prasad. Like, bro, come on. And like, he trained Chandan like that. The reason Chandan is like this is because Kalki, like, gave him that mood, Because like, I've seen it so many, it's not just once or twice. I mean, like, over the years, Kalki Prabhu like really just he would cook for 8, 10 hours. Sometimes the Janmashtami he's cooking for days. And then when it's time to break fast, he's like serving the devotees on. And he knows who likes what. He's like mastered that. And Chandan has been trained by him like that.
Can I ask? Yesterday, it came up during our meeting, I guess you could say, about Vishwamitra.
What meaning?
Just in discussion,
Oh, just
It came up somehow, some way in talk about, Vishwamitra being bewildered by Menaka, always, performing austerity. And you made the point, and I've heard it before, that you said performing 3 days of Sankirtan is equivalent to, was it
60 thousands of years, Prabhupada said.
60,000 years. 60,000 years of austerity. So I guess the question is, so then why is it that if the equivalence is there, that it doesn't take someone on par with Menaka to bewilder the mind?
Yeah, well, because of our previous conditioning, that's one thing. We've been here a really long time. And then we see in the Bhagavad Gita that it starts with contemplation. So from contemplation, then lust arises, then from lust, anger, then bewilderment of memory.
And then after that, intelligence is lost. Then
Intelligence is lost. Then memory is bewildered, and when memory is bewildered, one falls down again into the material pool. So our mind and senses are conditioned. Usually a brahmachari is trained from the age of 5. Like Prahlad Maharaj says, that from the age of 5 they should take to Krishna consciousness. So then it's for many years that one's getting trained up to control the senses. Like Motsa Prabhu was saying yesterday, they're just hearing transcendental sound vibration the whole time from age like 5 to 20. So they don't have much of a taste for, tamagun material attractions. But if that's what we were doing like our whole lifetime, being interested in these things and then having them advertised to us, on TV, commercials, movies, music, everything, then it's what our senses are used to. So it's easy for us to fall back into it. So then if we're not, fully, that's the whole point is if we're not fully engaged in Krishna service, then at any second we could fall down, because we've been moving in one direction for a very long time. So now you not only have to stop that, inertia of moving towards material sense gratification, but you have to push it all the way back the other direction. It's an uphill battle. So yeah, because of our previous conditioning, then we can easily become, interested in these things that just pull us down more. Tamagun, mode of passion. Any devotees have any other comments on it?
One thing I've realized is that Vishwamitra Muni was all the way in Treta Yuga, and we're here in Kali Yuga, and to me, it's really amazing. When I examine myself, I'm so shocked. I'm still following the 4 regulative principles for 12 years. It's just crazy. Actually, we can't understand, and it's the mercy. And as long as we hold on to that mercy, we are safe. But the minute we let go of it, like that's what happened, right? The minute we let go of that sadhana, the minute we let go of chanting and reading and hearing and distributing books and doing all these things, then we become more and more susceptible to being stuck, and more and more susceptible. And you can see, Maya gives you offers still, that some offers that you may not even get as a karma, or like she may make it so much easier for you. And it may not be so easy as that. It was not as easy to gratify you since as a karma. Rishi, you were telling me that you and Magadari, when you all were brand new bhaktas and you were preaching, that you thought like, you want to say that?
When we were in the Bhakta program, after like 3 weeks, we went to Bonnaroo to do a preaching program and set up a whole tent where people would come in and we teach them japa, give them some like powerful prasadam. And yeah, the second day it was there, it's just me and Magadari, we were bhaktas, and it's just nonstop, like music festival Matajis coming to the tent and being so interested in Krishna consciousness. And so, me and him were thinking like, wow, I should have become a monk way sooner. This Krishna consciousness thing really works.
We get all these opportunities right off the bat to enjoy our senses much better, so that attraction is always there. But in one lecture, Guru Maharaj is saying, unfortunately, Lord Chaitanya didn't arrive at that time, because when what's the first thing Vishwamitra Muni heard or saw?
Ankle bells?
Ankle bells, right? And Guru Maharaj is saying, unfortunately, but if he heard of Lord Chaitanya, he could think of Udilo Aruna Pura Papahagi. He could think of Lord Chaitanya's tinkling of Lord Chaitanya's ankle bell. So, we are very fortunate. It's only, the only reason why we're even able to do this is with the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. And in this regard, in the 11th canto, I'm forgetting which verse exactly, I can pull it up later. Jiva Goswami makes this point that actually the holy name is powerful in all the yugas, in Satyuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara. It's a supreme sadhana. But the meditators in the previous, especially in Satyuga, they would not believe that just moving your mouth up and down basically means chanting the holy name. In order to chant the holy name, you move your mouth up and down. Just by doing that you'll attain the highest goal. Therefore, they think it's some kind of lower sadhana and try to do something higher. But by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, we understand the power of the holy name and we practice that properly. And then we're able to, transcend this, at least when we are fixed and when we're focused of it. That's why we have a whole safety net that Srila Prabhupada gave us. He gave us a safety net. If we stick to the safety net, we're safe. But the minute we get out, you're left to wherever you want. And it's not like Vishwamitra Muni fell down and he had to start from zero. He got back up and he picked up and he kept going. So the attraction is there, but the fact that we haven't fallen down so much itself is, it's like, what's the right word? But anyway, it shows the mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Can I ask? Sorry, unless somebody else had.
No, go ahead.
So you were just saying, for example, we hear all the time like the mercy is always there, and
So what did you say? Sorry.
we hear often that like the mercy is always there. Taking, for example, and you were saying that we should never let go of the mercy, and it's easier, I guess, to wrap your head around somebody who's like letting go in the form of, like you said, like they slacken on their sadhana, or they stop following regular principles, whatever they took vows on. But there's also cases where somebody might externally do everything they should be doing in Krishna consciousness. They're following everything, but they're still not making advancement either. So what are some ways that somebody can let go of the mercy, I guess, more in a more subtle way, where they're executing everything, they're doing all the practical things right externally, but some things not still connecting, I guess.
Saying, what are some ways that someone could do? I mean, there's so many ways someone could, be in Maya and still externally doing everything. Like if someone thinks I'm puffed up, I don't need the devotees, or someone forgets about serving the devotees and thinks, I'll just focus on my own so-called advancement, even though we heard in the purport there that spiritual advancement means you're chanting Hare Krishna and serving the devotees, according to the end of the purport there. Or whatever else is they're trying to, enjoy the facilities offered in Krishna consciousness or something like this. There's so many ways. There's unlimited ways that somebody could be in Maya. But we hear if they're focused on serving the devotees and engaging in Krishna consciousness, then they can get out of that situation. Mahotsav Prabhu, did you have anything?
Yeah, you can look this up. It is Bhagavad Gita 3.7 or 3.8. He says, it's 3.7, I think. Krishna says, Karmendriyani samyamya yasi manasasmaran indriyarthan vimudharpam vishyachara uchyate. 3.7. You click.
No, I think that's
No, the verse before that, 3.6.
One who restrains the senses from action, but whose mind dwells on the sense object, certainly deludes himself and is called a pretender.
So that's the whole point, right? There's so many ways, but that's the gist of it, right? So we, instead of being a mityachari, we have to be a brahmachari, which ultimately, if we are not observing consciousness.
What was that?
if you're not absorbing a mind in Krishna consciousness, right? The mind has to be absorbed in Krishna consciousness. If you're not absorbing a mind in Krishna consciousness, we'll fall prey to sense objects. That's the bottom line. That's why the verse after that, Krishna says, yeah, yes, what is that? Yasvindriyani manasa, ya asti manasa smaran. In the, sorry. Niyamya bharatar shava karmendriya karma yoga masakta sarvashishyate. It's the same thing. Like we have to absorb our mind in Krishna consciousness. You have to be conscious of Krishna. And all these things are there for us to remember Krishna. The more we develop a remembrance of Krishna, the more naturally will forget the attraction of Maya.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Can I ask a question, Prabhu? Yeah. So it seems like in other yugas, these devotees or yogis, they were performing like austerities for thousands and thousands of years, like Vishwamitra Muni. And Prabhupada was saying that actually 60,000 years of those austerities is equal to 3 days on book distribution. But it seemed like it was more black and white to please the Lord or to gain that type of like, or to get their result. In previous yugas, you do a certain amount of austerities and then it looked like it was, more black and white. But now it's like there's devotees that's been doing book distribution for like 30 plus or how many years. And, it does. So I'm just trying to figure out like if only 3 days equals to that much and devotees been doing book distribution for like their whole life, why does it look like it's more black and white in previous yugas versus now, That makes sense.
Well, if what you mean by it looking more black and white, like the devotees would do some sort of yajna or sacrifice, and then they get some big result from that, like I don't.
Now, Additional Prabhu mentioned like, how come like it doesn't take Manika to get attracted to her? What do you think? In this age, like why are we like so, if we're technically like performing more austerity than Vishwamitra by going on books?
Well, I mean, some of the things that we see that the personalities in previous yugas doing different austerities and sacrifices for, sometimes it's some material thing, like they become more powerful or get some, vast kingdom or, some sort of material opulence. But then you can see the devotees who are engaging in the Krishna consciousness movement, like distributing books or even just supporting the spreading of the Krishna consciousness movement somehow. The opulence, you could say, that they're getting is so much beyond, anything in the material world, because they're making really rapid progress back home, back to Godhead. Like, the whole opportunity is there where one can go back to Godhead in this life, become purified from all material desires, and go back to the spiritual world. So it's more of a result that they're getting than anything that, somebody might get, whether it's some like vast wealth or vast kingdom, some material power, something like this. But I mean, they're going back home, back to Godhead. So then it's more valuable than anything else that they're going to get in the material world. That's one thing. Do the devotees have any other?
How much time do we have?
It's 9:36. Did you want to?
So we can go on a little longer.
I mean, you like I kind of got the gist of the question. Your question is that they were doing yajnas, it was black and white, but for us it's not so black and white, even if we just shooting books, we're still attracted to sense objects. Is that your question?
Yeah, more or less.
So you can pull up 15:9 of Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says, Shrotram chakshus pashanam cha rasanam ganam evacha adhishtayam manashayam vishayanupasevate.
It's like those devotees, they say it's 12,000 years of austerities and they got filled up with Godhead. So, now it's like in this age, it doesn't look like there's like, it could be.
I mean, look at this, right? The living entity that takes another gross body and obtains a certain type of ear, eye, nose, and sense of touch, which are grouped about the mind, that enjoys a particular particular set of sense objects. So it proves, okay, you can understand this thing. We have to understand, we're born in Kali Yuga. I don't think we realize how fallen we actually are. What did we believe? Oh, he's here. Okay. Yeah. I don't think we realize how fallen we actually are. That's the point. We don't realize how fallen we that we are born with this certain particular kind of eyes, nose, tongue, ears, and we're attracted to like the sense objects that we are attracted to is really like crazy actually. What we're actually attracted to is completely crazy. So for Vishwamitra Muni, by his tapasya and all that, and by his previous activities, the senses that he got, gave him that sense object of Menaka. But the senses that we have, we are attracted to anything, basically, attracted to anything. So we don't realize how fallen we are. That's the whole point. We don't realize, when it dawns on us, how, like, dude, we're like born the worst of the ages, born in like in worse of the situations, attracted to worse kind of sense objects. When we realize how fallen we actually are, then all this will make sense. That's why it's not so black and white. Why is it not so black and white? Is because literally the most unqualified people are doing the highest thing that even those devotees in Satyuga didn't do. That's the whole point. That we don't get it. Like we just don't understand. Like, wait a minute. Like, you know what? I'm extremely fallen. I'm telling you, it's a miracle. It's a miracle that we're like, chanting Hare Krishna, distributing Sri Prabhupada's books, attending Mangalarti. I mean, to be honest, a strict brahmachari within the Krishna consciousness movement, in America or anywhere, sometimes is performing more austerities than traditional brahmanas. It's just therefore it's not so black and white, because for them it's very clear, right? They got a certain kind of sense objects. They moved up from a particular level of karma, and then moving up to the platform of he became a kshatriya, and he that itself is an enigma actually. And in one purport, Prabhupada was said that the reason why Vishwamitra Muni was able to go from being a kshatriya to being a brahmarshi is because he performed devotional service. Even for Vishwamitra, that's why Rama, when he found out that Vishwamitra is the son of Gadhi, a great king, he was amazed, like, wow, so like now you're a brahmarshi, how did that happen? Because from being a kshatriya to being a brahmarshi is a big jump in itself. Even that is not so black and white. Because what to speak of us? What to speak of us? I mean, like, Prabhu, I can't believe it that my Guru Maharaj has given me this. He's given me a Brahman. I was not performing Brahminical activities. We weren't. That's why it's not so black and white. Because we're extremely fallen. And does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I was just curious. So I think I missed so you said that he was a Kshatriya, but then he gradually went up. So like
in the same body.
In the same body. So that's like he has a new taste for like.
I mean, yeah,
like
of course.
Right.
But you think about it. You think about it, right? What used to attract you as a karma?
Okay.
Right? It disgusts you. Like, can you think of things that you were attracted to as a karma?
Like you said, cereal.
Especially with food.
I mean, still, that's one thing. But what about the abominable foods that we can't even think of it now. Hasn't your like Shotra Chakshu Sparshanam changed? Obviously, because of Krishna consciousness.
And you don't Krishna consciousness.
Then you're like you're back.
Yeah, I remember.
We just gotta realize how fallen we are, boys.
I think it was maybe you who told me this, or maybe I just heard it from another senior devotee, that it's like the scary thing.
Really mumbling.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I was saying, I don't know if it was you who told me this or another senior devotee, but one of the scariest things I heard is that if you leave Krishna consciousness, you just go back to the exact same situation.
You go to the exact same
like boom.
It's
like bullseye.
Just go right back. Just pull. It's like you can't.
Yeah, just like that. Boom.
Completely helpless against it.
Unless you make if you leave because of weakness of heart, you end where your karma and it deserves. If you perform if you're offensive to the devotees, then you're just really done, man. You're really done.
Yeah. It's like that verse is just there's no loss to diminution on this path, but Christian consciousness is like all gain, no loss, but in material life it's like all loss, no gain.
Mm-hmm.
So you just start right back left off, material life.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right, Srimad. Oh, someone saying something?
Huh?
Someone saying something?
No, we're just admiring your lotus features.
Okay. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Hey.
Ki jai.
Yeah.